copyright. That is what this little video is going to be about. And I'll try to keep it as simple and concise as my brain will allow. I see a lot of people online still rather vexed by copyright. Either that or many are just entirely indifferent and uncaring about actually educating themselves as to what it is. When I started learning that I wanted to do creative things way back when, it was one of the first things I wanted to learn is my rights to my work. And the simplest explanation and how copyright works is as soon as you have whatever your idea is, be it a character idea, an outline for a movie, music, once you have it in a fixed form, on paper, on your hard drive, however, outside of your head, in a fixed form outside of your head, it is automatically protected. It wasn't always necessarily the case way back in history, and I'm not going to get into that. It's easy enough to look up. It's kind of boring, but a point in copyright law came to where it was refined pretty much universally because it was very hard to manage different creations internationally. So the standard we have today is very much in favor of creators. Like I said, as soon as your idea is out of your head in a fixed form, it is automatically protected. Now keep in mind, I'm not a lawyer. This is not, legal information, for the disclaimer. This is just what I've had to learn going through, reading the legal documents and what it all entails in regards to copyright. And that's what I had to learn, especially when I first started thinking that, maybe I could have a website, not knowing how to do any of that. So back in the late 90s, 2000s, a lot of free places offered you websites, and they would in their fine print. You have to read your fine print, people. It's what ended up musicians up in nightmares regarding their own work because they didn't bother to read the contracts that the record labels put in front of them. And in the fine print, a lot of these free website things, one of the bad ones was GeoCities. In their terms, had a clause for a non-exclusive, which would mean that you could take your work wherever else, but a non-exclusive royalty-free right distribute and create derivative works from the content that you put on their platform. And these days, most of the fine print companies do not claim such rights to your work. So for them, it's a right to promotion. It's in case anything that you put on the platform ends up in any of their promotional materials. But back in the day, that non-exclusive royalty-free, and especially remember derivative works, means that if they were so inclined, and I don't think the majority of people would have had to worry, but it's just the fact that they put it in their terms in the first place. If they were so inclined, they could take whatever work people were hosting on their platform and just make products with it and not have to give creators any compensation for it because it's in the terms that you agree to. So always read the fine print. Yes, it's boring, but at least know the few words to look for, especially in regards to exclusivity. They're pretty apparent words, and especially royalty-free. And yeah, so that's something you always want to do in protecting your own work. But as you learn copyright laws and regulations in regards to your own work, you're also learning that the exact same things apply to other people's work. And just because this is going to get into music. Those of you who do things on YouTube or with video and want to use music in your productions, because it's one of those sort of hot button issues on the YouTubes and other places. Basically, as copyright, if it's not yours, you cannot use it without being given license by whatever means, through whatever means, to actually use it in your productions. And on YouTube, it's a thing because, well, they run ads on your videos. Normally, if you have license to use the music in your work that you're putting on YouTube or wherever else that will run ads in it, when you're monetized, you get a cut of that money. YouTube works like, think of it like television. It's called channels for a reason. You put videos on your channel, advertisers, have their commercials that YouTube sticks into your content, and once you're, big enough to be monetized, you get a share too. Same way that small network affiliates work in television. They get a cut of the ad revenue. That way, if when people don't like a particular episode or whatever, and they want to boycott this and boycott that, because if they're not watching the network or that particular show, they're not seeing the ads, and thus the advertisers aren't necessarily getting a return on their investment that they pay for or are hoping to get by running the ads during the show. So if it's I know it sounds complicated, but it's not. It's if you have music, if you are a music creator or any other kind of creative individual, I'm pretty sure you would like to be compensated in some way for your work appearing in another production. And, just because you pay for an MP3 or subscribe to whatever service, or just because you pay for a musical piece or anything for your own personal enjoyment does not give you license to just use it in your own productions. That's just how it works. And, copyright is meant to protect you as much as everyone else. Basically that's it. When you have an idea, get it out of your head. Get it, like, if it's an idea for like a character or a painting or like whatever it is, and you just sort of want to jot your idea down before doing the full thing. If all you have is scrap paper, a Post-it, a napkin, grab that and a pen, doodle it, boom, you're immediately protected. And it really is that simple. I will link to like the Copyright Office website so people who are so inclined can look for themselves, and I will also include a link to a report that they've been working on in regards to artificial intelligence, and which is very interesting, and especially in regards to using the likenesses of people's voices. And it's the whole thing. It's an interesting read, and if you are a creative person and you want to create content, it's very important to know what you can do and what you cannot. I know it's not fun. It's not fun learning legal stuff, but if you want to be able to create with full license, you need to know it. And you can huff, you can puff, and if you figure, what's the harm in this piece of music or that? It depends. The smaller the person whose music, the more it impacts them. And just because somebody is selling out stadiums and this or that, it doesn't make it any more right to use it without license, because that's not the point. It's not the point of how much money the individual has from their successful career. But so that's enough of that admonishment. But that is, if you want music for your productions, because you watch things with music in them, how does that work? That's why there's production music, royalty-free things, and there are royalty-free services. I am going to do a video on that with a bit of a review for the service Upbeat that I personally love, and when I use human-made music and things, that's what I use. It's got a good monthly price. The art, and the variety of musicians that contribute to that site, and the variety of music that is on there. Ever since I learned royalty free was a thing, back when I was dabbling in animation and thinking of doing cartoons on my own, I obviously need music. So it's for me, for my preferences and tastes, the absolute best royalty free music service I have ever come across. So I will, like I said, I will do a bit of a video on that. Yeah, copyright. If it's not yours, people, you can't use it. Or, learn like Creative Commons license, then, and there are websites for that. I can't think of them off the top of my head right now, so if I do figure them out, I will put links to those also in the description, because there are other things where you don't necessarily have to just subscribe or buy a piece. Some of it's just free and you just have to give the creators credit, because a lot of Creative Commons things are, the license is whatever the creator decides the license is. Sometimes they might appreciate a donation, and again, sometimes it's just credit in your production and a link to their website or where other people can find their music and services that they have to offer. Yeah, I think that's really everything in regards to copyright. When it comes to registering your copyright, you do not have to officially do it. You don't have to send in samples. You can. That's an extra measure of protection. But these days, if you want to put it out there in front of the world, there's social media, there's online galleries such as the very long-running and well-established DeviantArt that slaps the copyright under your pictures in your galleries. And so it's out there in the record. People know it's attributed to you. You've got the date. So you don't have to actually go through the official registration process. I think that's it for this video. You are protected by copyright as soon as you get it out of your brain and in a fixed form. And it's pretty much universal. So thank you for joining me. I hope that I helped some, or at least clear up the waters a little bit without inadvertently just making it all more confusing. Have a wonderful everything. Follow those dreams, people, and I will catch you in the next video.